Troy's got $1 million idea, and you're going to fund it. My father's words hit like a military command. That's when I knew this dinner wouldn't end peacefully. It was a typical Sunday evening at my parents' suburban home in Aurora, Colorado. A 2-story white house with a front porch, faint smell of grilled meat still hanging in the air. I came thinking it'd be a relaxing family dinner after a long week at work. The kitchen lights were warm. My mom, Helen, had everything spotless: pressed napkins, wine glasses, and her signature roast. But the one thing missing from the table was sincerity. I'm Evan Mercer, 30, founder of CentraCore, a growing cybersecurity company in Denver. Built it from scratch, just me, an old laptop, and sleepless nights of coding. My father, Douglas, ex-Air Force, believes in control, not conversation. My mom, gentle but silent, always obeys. And then there's Troy, my younger brother, a serial founder of failed startups. Crypto, scooters, delivery apps, none lasted. Dad tapped his spoon on his glass. Troy's developing AI software for restaurants. He needs $200,000 to build the prototype. And as his brother, you'll help. I put my fork down. I'm not investing, and I'm not selling any shares. Silence fell. Even the grandfather clock seemed to hold its breath. Mom looked worried. Troy, still on his phone, was clearly listening. "Don't be selfish, Evan," Dad said, voice low, sharp as a blade. "Your brother has vision. He just needs capital." I smirked. All his previous visions crashed too. Troy raised his head. "This one's different. AI is booming. I've taken basic coding courses. I just need someone to believe in me." I stared at him. Belief isn't the same as feeding your delusions. Dad's fists clenched. "That company of yours exists because of the values I instilled in you. Now it's time to give back." Before I could speak, smack. The slap hit hard and fast. My lips split. The copper taste of blood filled my mouth. I looked at him. There was no rage, only strategy. He wasn't out of control. He was asserting dominance. "Doug!" my mom gasped. Troy said nothing. Just watched me like this was part of a show. I wiped the blood with a napkin and slowly stood. "I don't owe anyone at this table anything." Mom reached out, but I stepped back. "You're turning your back on family," Dad snapped. I met his eyes. "No, I'm finally choosing myself." I walked out and shut the door behind me, a wooden thud that sounded like a war declaration. I didn't know if they finished dinner or talked behind my back, but I knew one thing for sure. I'd never return to that house the same again. They say blood is thicker than water. But what if your blood is the first to teach you how unfair love can be? I sat alone in my Denver apartment, city lights flickering through the window. A glass of whiskey rested on the table beside an old photo. Me and Troy, little kids smiling in front of our old green house. I couldn't remember the last time I smiled like that. Maybe before I realized love in my family was never shared, only distributed under conditions. I'm Evan Mercer, the eldest, the one who always had it handled. When my dad pushed me toward the military, I quietly applied to study computer science. When he yelled, I apologized and kept going my way. Troy? He was the storm wrapped in praise. Crashed a car? He's learning. Failed another business? Just bad market timing. Dad spent $8,000 fixing Troy's wrecked truck, but never once helped cover my college tuition. I grew up feeling trapped in an invisible contract. No one said it out loud, but I was always expected to bear it all. Grades, silence, pressure. Troy? Every mistake was a lesson. Every failure, a fresh start. My parents didn't mean to hurt me, but they did, with favoritism disguised as fairness, by asking me to understand just a little more. I remember Troy's Euro trip. "He needs life experience," Dad said. Me? I fixed student laptops and taught night classes to buy hardware. When I won a national scholarship, Mom simply said, "Keep it up, son." When Troy launched a failed delivery app, Dad hosted a backyard party. They never framed the magazine cover that named me Denver's top 30 under 30. But they kept every failed business plan of Troy's in the study. Last Christmas, Troy pulled me aside on the patio, his eyes gleaming. "I'm diving into AI, man. This time's for real. I just need 200K. I'll double it." I said nothing. Not because I was touched, but because I'd heard it too many times. Crypto, scooters, food apps. All of them were for real. I nodded politely. "I'll think about it." But in my heart, I already said no. Soon after, I started receiving subtle messages from Mom. "Your dad said Centricor might expand? Thinking of early retirement? Troy said AI's blowing up this year." It wasn't new. It was familiar. Every question came with an agenda. My family was gathering intel, disguised as concern. I looked again at that photo. 2 boys smiling. I didn't hate Troy. I just mourned how long it took me to accept. Family doesn't always mean fairness, and maybe I no longer needed to prove anything to any of them. "Someone just requested Centricor's incorporation records from the Colorado Business Registry," Marcus said, his voice low. And they knew exactly what to ask for. I was at the Centricor office, 9th floor, downtown Denver. Outside, cars crawled through rush hour. Inside, a familiar hum of keyboards filled the air. It felt like a regular Tuesday morning, until Marcus knocked. He placed a folder on my desk, and I instantly knew. This wasn't about quarterly reports. Marcus is meticulous. A former IRS auditor, he's been with me since year 2. He doesn't raise alarms unless it's serious. Landon Reyes, my co-founder, sat beside me. He and I built this company from scratch. Late nights, instant noodles, and borrowed routers. They pulled company formation docs, tax filings, client contracts, all through official requests, Marcus said. "You need to know exactly what forms to file, what codes to use." I narrowed my eyes. "Who made the request?" Marcus flipped the cover page. "A company called Mercer Innovations, LLC. I froze. The registered address? My parents' house. My palms heated. Troy actually registered a company using our last name? And started digging into my company's private structure? Marcus continued. "They filed the request on Monday, right after the dinner." I exhaled a bitter laugh. So that dinner wasn't a blow-up. It was bait. Landon's jaw clenched. "They're not just targeting you anymore." "Yesterday, 3 of your major clients called," Marcus said, "asking if Centricor was undergoing an internal audit. Someone impersonated a third-party agency asking for contract details." I felt a chill. Those 3 clients made up 60% of our revenue. If they thought our integrity was compromised, they could walk, immediately. This wasn't just about money. It was an orchestrated sabotage, packaged as family obligation. I called each client, clarified the situation. Most sounded calm, but I sensed unease. I looked at Landon. "If they're shaking the foundation, we need to plan a strategic retreat." He nodded. "You're thinking about Nexora Labs?" I didn't speak, just nodded again. For the first time, I was truly considering selling my company, not out of defeat, but as an act of survival. That night, I didn't sleep. I combed through emails, traced unusual IPs, flagged odd access logs. Everything aligned. Troy wasn't just a reckless brother anymore. He was either a pawn or the mastermind in a game I never agreed to play. "You can't turn your back on blood, Evan. Your mom needs medication. Troy needs a future. You can carry it." My father didn't sound angry. Worse, he sounded reasonable. Thursday morning, I was in a meeting with the tech team when my assistant knocked. "Mr. Douglas Mercer is in the lobby. Says it's urgent." I froze. After weeks of silence, my father had found me. In his old military uniform, he stood in the lobby like a colonel back on duty. I signaled Landon to continue the meeting. Then I walked out. Douglas Mercer, my father. The man who once taught me how to tie my shoes, how to salute, how to say, "Yes, sir," instead of "sure." But today, he stood in front of me not as a father, but as a strategist executing his final offensive. I didn't invite him to sit. He scanned the office. Certificates, plaques, servers humming. "You've done more than I thought possible," he said. "Honestly, I'm proud." I folded my arms. "Are you here for Troy or for Mom?" "Both," he replied. "She needs her medication, therapy for her knees. And Troy, this could be his last chance. With your skills and his ideas, you two could build something lasting." I clenched my fists. "Don't react emotionally," Dad continued. "Family is legacy. You might build a career alone, but legacy takes blood. Look at the Waltons, the Fords." I stared. "And you want to start this legacy by forcing me to sell my company?" He shrugged. "Not force, offer. $200,000. That's all." "And if I refuse?" I asked. He straightened his uniform. "Then we'll know where your priorities lie. Your mother may not make it without proper treatment, and Troy's staked everything on this." This wasn't persuasion. This was emotional blackmail disguised as concern. After he left, I called Mom. "Do you really need expensive meds?" I asked directly. She hesitated. "Oh, it's nothing serious. Just some supplements. Your dad tends to dramatize. I'm managing fine." I sat in silence, unsure whether to feel sad that she was covering for him or angry that she had to. That night, Troy texted, "If something happens to Mom, don't say I didn't warn you." One line. Cold. Like a punch. That night, I didn't just change my passwords. I called my lawyer, requested full asset separation. No more Mercer ties. The next morning, I stood in the same boardroom where my father had stood, and I whispered to myself, "They don't just want my money. They want control of who I am, and I won't let that happen." "You can't turn your back on blood, Evan. Your mom needs medication. Troy needs a future. You can carry it." My father didn't sound angry. Worse, he sounded reasonable. Thursday morning, I was in a meeting with the tech team when my assistant knocked. "Mr. Douglas Mercer is in the lobby. Says it's urgent." I froze. After weeks of silence, my father had found me. In his old military uniform, he stood in the lobby like a colonel back on duty. I signaled Landon to continue the meeting. Then I walked out. Douglas Mercer, my father. The man who once taught me how to tie my shoes, how to salute, how to say, "Yes, sir," instead of "sure." But today, he stood in front of me not as a father, but as a strategist executing his final offensive. I didn't invite him to sit. He scanned the office. Certificates, plaques, servers humming. "You've done more than I thought possible," he said. "Honestly, I'm proud." I folded my arms. "Are you here for Troy or for Mom?" "Both," he replied. "She needs her medication, therapy for her knees. And Troy, this could be his last chance. With your skills and his ideas, you two could build something lasting." I clenched my fists. "Don't react emotionally," Dad continued. "Family is legacy. You might build a career alone, but legacy takes blood. Look at the Waltons, the Fords." I stared. "And you want to start this legacy by forcing me to sell my company?" He shrugged. "Not force, offer. $200,000. That's all." "And if I refuse?" I asked. He straightened his uniform. "Then we'll know where your priorities lie. Your mother may not make it without proper treatment, and Troy's staked everything on this." This wasn't persuasion. This was emotional blackmail disguised as concern. After he left, I called Mom. "Do you really need expensive meds?" I asked directly. She hesitated. "Oh, it's nothing serious. Just some supplements. Your dad tends to dramatize. I'm managing fine." I sat in silence, unsure whether to feel sad that she was covering for him or angry that she had to. That night, Troy texted, "If something happens to Mom, don't say I didn't warn you." One line. Cold. Like a punch. That night, I didn't just change my passwords. I called my lawyer, requested full asset separation. No more Mercer ties. The next morning, I stood in the same boardroom where my father had stood, and I whispered to myself, they don't just want my money. They want control of who I am, and I won't let that happen. I know what you're considering, Evan, but selling Centricor isn't just a transaction. It's a declaration that you've chosen yourself over them. That's what Patricia told me as I walked into her office. Her office sat on the 28th floor of Bank One Tower, overlooking Denver's early morning haze. It smelled like fresh coffee and warm paper. Landon was already there, along with Patricia Rowe, a corporate attorney who'd negotiated some of the biggest tech exits in Colorado. I wasn't here to wonder if. I was here to plan my clean escape. Patricia wasn't your stiff-suit lawyer type. Sharp, cold, strategic. The kind who once walked away from a $20 million deal because the investors lacked integrity. Landon sat next to me, still loyal, still grounded, still worried. He'd seen every line of code, every sleepless night. Now, he was about to watch me let it all go. We reviewed Nexora Labs' offer, Patricia began. Still $42 million, 30-day close, but they now demand exclusive rights to negotiate and full confidentiality until closing. I stared out the glass wall. Down below, people walked like ants, unaware I was about to sell a company that could be worth double in 5 years. We're not being forced, Evan, Landon said. But if we do this, we're letting go. I closed my eyes, flashes of Dad's stare, Troy's manipulative texts, nights interrupted by anxiety. If I kept Centricor, I'd never be free. My family didn't want the company. They wanted control over me. We're not letting go, I replied. We're preserving what's left of ourselves. I picked up the pen. 19 pages of contracts lay before me. Evan, Patricia paused. Once you sign, no announcements, no posts, no employee discussions. Not until it's done. I nodded. They'll find out when it's too late. And I signed. One clean stroke. No hesitation. No regrets. Patricia slid the folder shut. Congrats. The exclusive negotiation clause is in effect. From now on, all communication goes through us. Landon shook my hand. His eyes misted just slightly. I didn't speak, just placed a hand on his shoulder. We both knew. We'd just saved ourselves. That night I packed in silence. One suitcase, one carry-on, a one-way ticket to Seattle. I left a note on my desk. Freedom isn't given, it's paid for, with everything you once called yours. Troy came to my building. Left a folded paper with the doorman. It read, Mom's fading. You really want to disappear like this? I had already left the office, signed the deal. All business emails were now rerouted through my attorney. I was living off-grid in a Belltown studio apartment in Seattle, where it rained almost every day. For the first time in years, I slept. No alarms, no calls, no Troy, just raindrops on the glass and silence. I wasn't a CEO anymore. Not the older Mercer brother. Just Evan. A man who escaped. New phone number. New email. New bank account. No trace. Except what my lawyer legally carried on my behalf. All client contact. Handled by Patricia Rowe. I was invisible. It was calm. Until the doorman handed me Troy's note. They weren't done. I called my mother, for the first time in a month. She answered on the first ring. Are you okay? She asked softly. I asked, Are you really sick like Troy claims? She gave a tired laugh. Just sleep-deprived, darling. A few vitamins short. Does Dad know I sold the company? Silence. He doesn't, but I think he's close to guessing. I exhaled. I'm not coming back, Mom. I know, she whispered. As long as you're living your truth. Right after the call, I received an email from Troy, from a new address. I know you're in Seattle. Don't think I can't track you. Mom didn't tell me, but I'll find you. Attached was a photo of the cafe I sat at 2 days ago. Troy had been following me. I packed within minutes. By nightfall, I was gone from Seattle. I didn't check into a hotel. I took a ferry straight to Bainbridge Island, a small, quiet corner of Washington. No cameras, no delivery apps, just tall pine trees, a silent lake, and freedom. That night, I sent one final email to Patricia. From now on, do not forward anything from the Mercers. Not Troy, not Douglas, not even Helen. This is where it ends. Then I hit send. The first step to going off the grid is deleting your name from the books of those who never deserved it. A year ago, they traded blood for control. Now, they no longer hold anything, not even my pity. I live in a small wooden cabin on Bainbridge Island, Washington. Mornings are filled with birdsong and the whisper of pine trees. I brew coffee, watch the lake, and feel a stillness I once thought impossible. I no longer obsessively check emails. I work only on consulting projects I choose. No more proving myself. No more proving anything. Landon, my old co-founder, is the only one I still speak to regularly. He stayed on with CentraCore after Nexora acquired us. He sends me updates. Culture's still good. They kept the name. CentraCore just opened in Arizona. They're using your original toolkit. They still talk about you, though no one knows where you are. One quiet morning, I got an unexpected email from Patricia. Subject: forwarded. From your mother. It took me a minute to decide whether to open it. Then I clicked. I'm not asking where you are, and I'm not blaming you. I just want you to know. I hope you're healthy. Everything back home has passed. Take care, my son. No guilt, no requests, no Troy. I stared at the screen. Not overwhelmed, just empty. I realized I had prepared for resistance, manipulation, threats. But I'd never prepared for silence. No more texts, no more tracking, no more family theater. And that, somehow, felt like its own kind of funeral. Landon called on one of the rare sunny afternoons. Guess what? He said. Mercer Innovations is officially bankrupt. Troy lost all funding, couldn't verify any of his skills. One investor might sue him. I closed my eyes. And my father? I asked. He called my office twice, asking for your contact. I said, my client doesn't authorize disclosure. He get mad? No, just laughed, then hung up. After the call, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't celebrate Troy's failure or Dad's dead end. I felt peaceful. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't bound by what I should have done. No more obligations, no more resistance. Just a man, on a porch, sipping coffee, knowing it all passed. I opened my laptop, typed a short anonymous blog post. Sometimes, freedom doesn't come from winning. It comes from refusing to play the game. Then I shut the lid and stepped outside. The sun was setting, and on the lake was a soft golden reflection, like a quiet nod from the universe. I wasn't fighting anymore. I was just living. Not every ending needs fireworks. Some just fade, and sometimes that's the strongest kind of closure there is. Spring came early to Bainbridge Island. Wildflowers bloomed along the dirt path to my cabin. The scent of pine filled the air. I no longer tracked time. Each morning, I woke when I wanted. Each night, I coded a little, just for myself. I was building EM Labs, an open-source security platform. No investors, no deadlines, just something true to who I was. I'm Evan Mercer, no longer a CEO, no longer Douglas's son, no longer Troy's older brother, just me. Landon still sends updates monthly. Recently, he sent a photo of CentraCore's new Austin office. They still run on your original code, he said. I smiled. No pride, no regret, just closure. One morning, Patricia forwarded another email from my mother. Still soft. No guilt, no dramatics. I'm well, don't worry. Your father seems to have accepted it. Troy no longer talks tech. If you ever have time, just let me know that you're still somewhere in this world. That's all. That last line. You're still somewhere in this world. No demands, just presence. I took the letter to the lake, sat under a pine tree, didn't cry, just felt warm. I typed a reply. Mom, I'm still here, safe, quiet, living my truth. I'm not coming back, but I wish you peace, always. I sent it to Patricia for forwarding. No direct contact, no reattachment. Just one circle finally closed. A week later, I got a letter from her, handwritten. That's enough. I can rest now. Wherever you are, I know you're truly free. I folded it, tucked it into a wooden box, alongside a USB holding CentraCore's first source code. That chapter, now sealed. I walked along the lake. Locals waved. They didn't know who I was. They just called me the guy who drinks black coffee at sunrise. No questions. No expectations. No more roles to play. On the last evening of spring, I wrote one final anonymous blog post. Not everyone has a family to go back to, but everyone can choose a quiet place to belong. I hit post, shut the laptop. The Mercers can keep telling their story. Me? I stepped out of that narrative and started writing one of my own.